The challenge comes in the middle of a packed martial arts demonstration in Long Beach, California, in 1964. And the room goes still the moment the words leave the man's mouth. Bruce Lee is standing in the center of a circle formed by martial artists, spectators, and fighters who have gathered to watch him demonstrate techniques that most of them have never seen before. He's been moving through forms, explaining concepts about speed and precision, and the audience has been respectful but cautious, the way people always are when they're not sure if what they're watching is real or rehearsed. Then a voice cuts through the polite silence. A martial artist near the front, a man with broad shoulders and the kind of build that comes from years of hard training, steps forward and says he wants to test what Bruce has been showing. He doesn't shout it. He doesn't make it a spectacle. But everyone hears him, and the shift in the room is immediate. Bruce stops mid-sentence. He doesn't look surprised. He doesn't look offended. He just looks at the man, and for a moment, neither of them moves. The crowd leans in without realizing it. Some of the martial artists in the room know the challenger. He's been training for years in traditional styles, the kind that emphasize discipline and power, and he's earned a reputation for not backing down. He's not trying to humiliate Bruce. He's testing him, the way fighters do when they want to know if someone's skills match their reputation. The man's eyes are steady, his stance is grounded, and his expression says he's ready for whatever comes next. Bruce nods once, a small movement that could mean anything, and then he steps back to give himself space. He doesn't say yes or no. He doesn't ask what the man wants to test. He just adjusts his footing, and the room understands that the demonstration has changed into something else. The people standing closest to the circle take a step back. A few of them exchange glances. Someone near the wall shifts his weight, and the sound of his shoe on the floor is loud enough that heads turn. The tension isn't hostile, but it's real. The kind that settles over a room when everyone knows something is about to happen, and no one knows exactly how it will go. The challenger moves first. He doesn't rush in. He takes a controlled step forward, his hands raised in a traditional guard, his body angled to protect his center line. He's testing distance, waiting to see how Bruce will respond. Bruce doesn't move yet. He stands there, his arms loose at his sides, his weight balanced, his eyes locked on the other man. The crowd watches both of them. Some are watching Bruce, trying to read his expression, trying to figure out what he's thinking. Others are watching the challenger, measuring his stance, his timing, the way he's setting himself up for whatever he's planning. The silence stretches out, and it's the kind of silence that makes people hold their breath without realizing it. The man takes another step, and this time he throws a punch. A straight shot aimed at Bruce's face. It's not wild. It's not telegraphed. It's a clean, practiced strike from someone who knows how to hit. Bruce moves, and the movement is so small that half the people in the room don't even see it happen. He shifts his head, maybe 2 inches to the side, and the punch passes through the space where his face was a fraction of a second earlier. The challenger's arm is fully extended, his balance committed to the strike, and Bruce is already moving again. He steps in, his body closing the distance before the other man can pull his arm back, and his hand comes up in a short, controlled motion that stops an inch from the man's throat. The room goes completely silent. The challenger freezes. His arm is still out, his body still leaning forward from the momentum of the punch, and Bruce's hand is there, not touching him, but close enough that everyone can see it. Bruce holds the position for maybe 2 seconds, and then he steps back. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't smile. He just lowers his hand and resets his stance, and the message is clear to everyone watching. The challenger straightens up slowly, his face unreadable, and he nods. It's a small nod, the kind that acknowledges what just happened without needing words. He steps back into the crowd, and no one speaks. Bruce doesn't gloat. He doesn't explain what he did. He just turns back to the rest of the group and continues where he left off, as if the interruption never happened. But the room has changed. The people who were skeptical before are watching him differently now. The martial artists who were sitting with their arms crossed are leaning forward. The ones who were whispering to each other have gone quiet. They saw the speed. They saw the control. They saw how Bruce read the punch before it was fully committed, how he closed the distance without hesitation, how he stopped his own strike with the kind of precision that only comes from thousands of hours of practice. And they saw that the challenger, someone they respected, acknowledged it without resistance. A few minutes later, another voice comes from the back of the room. This one is younger, less confident, but still direct. A man in his 20s, built like someone who's been lifting weights and training hard, steps forward and says he wants to see if Bruce can do the same thing against a grappler. He's not aggressive about it. He's not trying to prove a point. He's just asking, the way someone might ask a teacher to demonstrate a technique. Bruce looks at him for a moment, and then he gestures for the man to come closer. The crowd shifts again, giving them space, and the energy in the room tightens. The grappler doesn't waste time. He shoots in low, going for Bruce's legs, trying to take him down the way wrestlers do. It's a good entry, fast and committed, and for a split second, it looks like it might work. But Bruce pivots, his hips turning just enough to change the angle, and the grappler's hands close on empty air. Before he can adjust, Bruce has moved behind him, and his arm is around the man's neck in a loose choke that isn't tight enough to hurt but makes it impossible to move. The grappler tries to shift his weight, tries to turn out of it, but Bruce's position is locked in. He holds it for a moment, just long enough for the man to feel it, and then he lets go and steps back. The grappler stands up, breathing hard, and he laughs. It's not a nervous laugh. It's the kind of laugh that comes from realizing you just learned something. He claps Bruce on the shoulder, says something that no one else can hear, and moves back into the crowd. The rest of the demonstration continues, but the atmosphere has changed completely. No one challenges Bruce again. When he moves through techniques, people watch the details. When he explains a concept, they listen without interrupting. When he asks for a volunteer to demonstrate a principle, hands go up. The skepticism that was there at the beginning is gone, replaced by something quieter and more focused. The martial artists in the room aren't fanboys. They're not starstruck. They're watching someone who has just proven twice that what he's showing them is real. At one point, Bruce calls up a well-known karate instructor who's been sitting near the front. The man is older, respected in the community, and when he stands up, the room pays attention. Bruce asks him to throw a punch, and the instructor does. A solid reverse punch with good form. Bruce intercepts it before it's halfway to its target, redirecting it with a motion so fluid that it looks almost casual. The instructor tries again, this time with a different angle, and the result is the same. Bruce doesn't block. He doesn't absorb the impact. He redirects using the other man's energy against him, and every time the instructor resets, Bruce is already in position to counter. After the fourth attempt, the instructor stops and steps back. He's not frustrated. He's thinking. He asks Bruce a question about timing, and Bruce answers it, not with words, but by showing him again, slower this time, breaking down the movement so the instructor can see exactly what's happening. The instructor watches, nods, and then he smiles. He bows slightly, a gesture of respect, and returns to his seat. The people around him lean in, asking him what it felt like, and he shakes his head, still processing it. Someone near the back of the room, a boxer who's been watching with his arms crossed the entire time, speaks up. He doesn't stand. He just calls out from where he's sitting, asking if Bruce's techniques would work against someone who fights with a completely different rhythm. Bruce looks over at him, and the boxer meets his eyes. It's not a challenge exactly, but it's a test. Bruce gestures for him to come up. The boxer takes his time standing, and when he walks to the center of the room, his movement is loose and confident. He's not trying to intimidate anyone. He's just carrying himself the way boxers do, with that particular kind of ease that comes from knowing how to move under pressure. Bruce asks him to throw a jab. The boxer does, and it's fast, snapping out and pulling back before most people in the room can register it. Bruce doesn't try to block it. He moves his head, slipping it the way boxers do, and then he closes the gap. The boxer throws another jab, this time a feint trying to set up a cross, and Bruce reads it, stepping inside the range where the boxer's power can't fully develop. His hand comes up in a short, compact strike aimed at the boxer's ribs, stopping just before contact. The boxer looks down at where Bruce's hand is, then back up at his face, and he grins. He steps back, throws a combination, and Bruce moves through it, slipping and weaving, his footwork matching the boxer's rhythm until he finds an opening. He doesn't take it, just stops, showing the boxer where it was, and the boxer sees it. He nods, throws a few more punches, and each time Bruce either evades or intercepts, showing him the gaps in real time. When they finish, the boxer extends his hand, and Bruce shakes it. The boxer goes back to his seat, and this time he's not sitting with his arms crossed. He's leaning forward, watching everything Bruce does. The demonstration goes on for another hour, and by the end of it, the room has completely shifted. The martial artists who were skeptical at the beginning are asking questions, taking notes, watching Bruce's movements with the kind of focus that comes from recognizing something valuable. The fighters who thought they knew what worked are reconsidering their assumptions. The students who came to watch a demonstration are realizing they just witnessed something that most people never see. Bruce doesn't lecture them. He doesn't tell them what to think. He just shows them, over and over, what happens when speed, timing, and precision come together in a way that most martial arts don't teach. When the session ends, people don't leave right away. They stand around in small groups, talking in low voices, replaying what they saw. Some of them approach Bruce, asking if they can train with him, asking when his next demonstration is, asking if he teaches. Others just watch him from a distance, the way people do when they're trying to figure out how someone did something they couldn't quite follow. Bruce talks to a few of them, answers their questions without giving too much away, and then he starts packing up his things. The people who challenged him earlier are still there. The first man, the one who threw the punch, is talking to someone near the door, and when Bruce walks past, he stops mid-sentence and nods. Bruce nods back. The grappler is sitting on a bench, retaping his hands, and he looks up as Bruce passes, says something about wanting another round sometime. Bruce smiles, not a big smile, just a small acknowledgement, and keeps walking. The boxer is waiting near the exit. He doesn't say anything at first, just watches Bruce approach, and then he asks a question about footwork, about how Bruce moves without seeming to move. Bruce stops, sets his bag down, and shows him right there in the hallway, breaking down the mechanics of weight transfer and balance. The boxer watches closely, tries it a few times, and then he thanks Bruce and leaves. Bruce picks up his bag and walks out into the California evening, and behind him, the building is still buzzing with conversations that will last long after he's gone.